As I'm sure some of you are very acutely aware, governmental changes in certain countries around the world, some of which appear to be a backlash against more progressive policies, mean that we are about to head into 2025 with a very different potential outcome for how this year is going to end up. So today I'm going to take a little time to explain why you, wonderful viewer of this channel, should really consider getting actively involved in an EV group in 2025. I hope this video will give you some ideas for new resolutions to follow to make sure your future is cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. That is, of course, if you do the whole New Year's resolution thing, which, surprise, surprise, I don't. While this video will touch on a lot of reasons for joining an EV group that relate to the expected rolling back of environmental protections in the US during 2025, I want to be absolutely clear here that I'm not going to say anything today that can't be applied as reasoning to join an EV group somewhere else in the world. In fact, the more people that get involved at a grassroots level, the easier it is to ensure that we build a collaborative future that works well for everyone, not just those with deep pockets. In a related way, I also want to acknowledge that while I am focusing on EV advocacy and community groups, this video should also be considered a great jumping off point for considering joining other local non-profits or community organisations, from energy collectives and cooperatives through to signing up with your local community conservation group, garden, preservation society, or anything else. I firmly, genuinely believe that when we work together with our communities, we build a better society. As for the why, well, let's start with that very point. It's all about being part of a community, feeling that you are part of something bigger, that social aspect of this all. Some people really get a buzz from knowing that they're working on something that's far larger than the sum of the individual people's skills working on it. Some people enjoy the feel-good vibes they get from sharing their knowledge or skills with others, or learning new skills and knowledge from other people. And in the EV world, I, and many others, really enjoy watching people try out EVs for the first time and get their first time EV grin. I've personally been watching people do this for nearly 20 years, and believe me, it never, ever gets old. But whatever group you pick, I should also remind you that while humans are generally social animals, and even if you're an introvert or you are neurospicy and find, like me, that people can be tiring to be around, most of us benefit in some way or another from having a shared connection with other humans, especially if it is on terms and around interests we both like. Importantly, though, it is also important to remember that however social we are, we all have different boundaries and limitations, and we need to bear that in mind when picking a group that's right for us. Some people benefit from attending a monthly meetup for like-minded fans of EVs. Some people benefit from being part of an email list where they can pick and choose when and how they interact with other people. Maybe it's a local community group focusing on setting up an EV display at the local library, or perhaps some of you are heading to a local community college to take a class together on EV maintenance. These are all valid ways of giving back to the EV community and ensuring that EVs can continue to evolve and be appreciated by others. Not to blow my own trumpet here, but maybe your idea of a great EV community is to join our Patreon family and support the channel. Or perhaps to jump into our amazing Discord to have conversations with other folks who like our content. It's all valid and hopefully enriching. Whatever type of group you join up with, though, before I get onto the other benefits, I want to remind you that it is totally okay to find that you don't vibe with a group. It's totally normal and okay, and in fact healthy to find a group you're part of isn't actually a good fit after a few weeks or months. Even if that group is doing totally amazing things, it is okay to check out and then find a different group of folks to hang with in the very same space. I think we often forget that fact, so I wanted to make sure that I underscored it here, especially as any community group is likely going to be giving up your free time and perhaps money to be a part of. So EV groups give you a sense of belonging, but what else? Well, next on my little list is the ability to shape and influence EV policy and practice where you live. Perhaps there are some new charging stations you're not aware of, or perhaps a local mall is putting some new ones in that you think should be handled in a particular way. It's my own membership, in fact, of local EV groups in the UK that helped Cribbs Causeway in Bristol put its very first charging stations in nearly 20 years ago. Sure, there were just standard 13-amp sockets there with special 16-amp ones for added capacity for more capable vehicles, but because of that local group I was part of, individual owners were able to get together and say, "Hi, we'd like there to be charging stations here and we will support you as a business putting it in." And you know what? That local mall listened in a way that it might not have done had there just been a few disparate people reaching out individually and asking the same question. When we reached out as a local group, the Battery Electric Vehicles of Bristol, or BVOB as we were able to be known at the time, we were able to convince the mall to put in charging stations. We helped arrange a local EV display, and the mall even put on a total green transportation weekend to tie it all together. That same community pestering potential can also help nudge charging station providers to sort out broken or unloved charging infrastructure. Writing a stern letter to the company when it's just you, or submitting complaint after complaint to some random person on the telephone probably won't do anything. But if you work together as a local group, you'll be kind of surprised at what you can achieve. I've also discovered that politicians, while they do like to pretend that they will listen to individual constituents, are also more easily swayed to larger groups of people all saying the same thing. Perhaps there's a town planning meeting where the topic of EV charging infrastructure is being discussed. Sure, you can turn up as an individual to give you some amount of voice, but if you turn up en masse as a local EV group, honestly, that's next level stuff. And in case you hadn't guessed, lobbying is something that might need to step up a gear this year if you live somewhere like the US, where it's expected that environmental protections and EV mandates will be forcibly rolled back in deference to the desire of those with deep pockets to F everyone over for the sake of maximising bonuses for executives and keeping the shareholders happy. Some of the largest groups in the US, Plug-in America is just one of them, but there are many, many more, have full-time members of staff and legal experts who, with support from us as a community, can help really shift the needle on legislative efforts, encourage lawmakers and those at automakers to make choices that benefit rather than hinder the drive towards cleaner, greener, safer, smarter, and more equitable transport. Basically, Pester power is real, Pester power is powerful, and something that some of us have frankly forgotten how to do. The next important thing about joining a group, well, it gets you away from the rather ephemeral world of social media and online, and into real discussions with real people. Instead of spending your time angrily reposting memes about big oil online or fighting with trolls who say EVs just catch fire and kill gay baby whales, you can use that time instead to actively work on tackling the problems rather than the symptoms. Although, don't get me wrong, if you would like to deal with some of our most virulent haters in the TE comments section, by all means, be my guest. It is tiring and horrible to have to read their vile, puerile nonsense day after day. So, honestly, the more the merrier. But really, getting out of the house and, what is it the kids say? Touching grass will probably help you and the overall community a whole lot more. Being able to work together on something, to have a voice, is going to be super important this year, especially as many anti-EV sorts now feel emboldened. I know that being part of a community also helps you avoid the feeling of being gaslit. Having other people to check in with on a topic, a news story, or a local policy can really help you from being gaslit. And not wanting to be hyperbolic can be good for your sanity as well. Next, well, EV groups can help you keep your EV on the road, borrow equipment for long road trips, or just learn more about your car. Thanks to online forums and paid membership groups, I've been able to learn how to do certain maintenance tasks without visiting a dealership. I've learned a little more about how my particular vehicles work, and while I've not personally done this, I know of folks who have been able to borrow charging adapters and portable granny leads for long-distance trips. If you're a Nissan Leaf owner in North America, this one is especially useful. CHAdeMO to CCS adapters do exist, but they're about $1,000, which is honestly a little pricey for most folks. But I know some local EV groups, just as they did with old Tesla to CHAdeMO adapters years ago, are actively now buying these adapters and keeping them to lend out to members as and when needed. You might not need one most of the time, but if you can borrow one for a weekend to make that trip to see family a little easier, honestly, I would argue it's well worth your annual membership fee. Finally, aside from all of the great community, the feeling you're doing something good, and the knowledge and friendship that often follows from joining a group like this, you often get the chance to do cool things as an EV group member that you might not be able to do as an individual. For example, automakers often reach out to EV owners groups for advice, and I know several people who joined automaker consumer advisory groups or test programs specifically because they were actively involved in an EV group. But this also translates to other cool things like being able to drive somewhere that perhaps you ordinarily wouldn't, or take part in something because you are displaying your EV. I mean, how many people do you know who have driven their EV inside a building for a massive display that ended up on their local news? I can think of several people I know who've done just that. Of course, in this video, I focused on EV groups, but in reality, I think if you have a hobby or an interest in a cleaner, greener, safer and smarter world, a more equitable society, or even a passing interest in making your world better for some other group, 2025 should be the year that you leave your computer at home, get off your mobile phone and get out into the world to help other people make it a better place. And you never know, you might make some really great new friends along the way. Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, or you can reach out to us using Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are some of more than 1,500 people who help fund this channel using Patreon and YouTube, helping us cover our bills, pay our team, and making sure that we can remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. There are a range of different tiers you can sign up for, from as little as $1 a month, or if you pay yearly, just under $11 a year. We've had so many headaches with our credit list in the last few months. I'm sorry, it's been down to a non-functioning program we were using to pull the list out, but today's list has been manually generated, so please do let us know if you're not on there and should be. We are, after all, only human-ish. A huge welcome to our newest supporters: Steve Abernathy, Mike Nichols, Zach Kane, Philip Atkins, Kat, Rob Thomas, Ryan S., Laura, Jay Alor, Celia Gonzalez, France G. France, Nicole Juan, oh yeah, Pedro Huget, Duran Valentin, Winfred Gerlach, John Trindle, Sarah Hendrika Biketon, Edward Kufka, Stephen Beatty, Jonathan Rees, MJY, Owen Patrick, and Gail Jackson. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame. And remember, you can also now gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations. And we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at. The address is listed below. And if you're in need of some swag, you'll find our swag store also in the down below. We've got some fantastic content coming up, so make sure you're subscribed on PeerTube or YouTube, and we'll see you very soon. We make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want more, the mighty algorithm thinks you'll like this video, but we also think that you should look at this one. See you soon, and as always, keep evolving!